Welcome to the Technology Tips by Centrend video podcast. I'm Paul LaFlamme, your host for the show. In today's video podcast episode, we're going to talk about how to control startup programs in Windows 10. So many things we use on our computer will automatically add themselves to the startup. While some of these are important, most of the time they're unwelcome party crashers that slow your computer down. In this podcast episode, I'll show you how to evaluate the programs that start up with Windows 10 and how to safely stop them from intruding on your machine. The most important thing to remember here is that you're not going to break anything permanently by stopping them from starting when your system loads. That said, you may get unexpected warnings or errors if you run the programs they are associated with. These errors are not permanent though, and usually the program you're running will start the required background process they need, either automatically or with just a click of a yes or no on your part. Once you've followed along with this blog entry, you'll be able to have complete command and control over what is allowed to run at startup, and you'll have the confidence to be your own gatekeeper going forward. So many things we use on our computer will automatically add themselves to the startup. While some of these are important, most of the time they're unwelcome party crashers that slow your computer down. In this podcast episode, I'll show you how to evaluate the programs that start up with Windows 10 and how to safely stop them from intruding on your machine. The most important thing to remember here is that you're not going to break anything permanently by stopping them from starting when your system loads. That said, you may get unexpected warnings or errors if you run the programs they are associated with. These errors are not permanent though, and usually the program you're running will start the required background process they need, either automatically or with just a click of a yes or no on your part. Once you've followed along with this blog entry, you'll be able to have complete command and control over what is allowed to run at startup, and you'll have the confidence to be your own gatekeeper going forward. So to get started, right-click in a blank area of your taskbar down here. Then left-click on Task Manager. Task Manager opens and shows you all the things that are running in your system right now. It's interesting to see how much memory and CPU and whatnot you're using, but there's not much we can really do about that at this point other than end some of these tasks. What we really want to do is we want to keep some of these things from running to begin with. So to do that, look at the menu across the top here and click Startup. Startup lists every program that is assigned to start up in your machine, along with a list of the program and its publisher and its status, whether it's enabled or presently disabled. It shows you its estimated impact on the startup time, how much load it puts on the system to get that program to start running. So this tool I have called Agent Browser is part of Centrend's management and monitoring suite. I can't not allow that one to start because I need that to be running on my computer. So the next one, Backup for Workgroups, that's my backup program that I have running. I want that to start automatically for sure. This blizzardbattle.net, I really don't play these games, so I don't need them to start. If I do want to play a game like that, I can start the app myself. This is a great example of one that can be disabled. And then it's more about just going down the list and identifying different things that you may or may not want to have automatically start. So scrolling down the list here, the first one I noticed that I probably don't want to have start all the time is Cisco Webex. It has a high impact on performance, as you can see here, and I really don't use it very often. How did it get into my startup? Well, last week I was invited to participate in a Webex instead of a Zoom or a GoToMeeting. It's another tool that you can use for online conferences. It's not that it's a bad tool, but I really don't need it starting up every single time I start my computer and continuing to use resources. So what do I do about it? Well, I'm going to right-click on it, and I'm going to left-click on Disable. Now it's disabled, and when I restart my computer, it will not start automatically. The next one on my list here is Flexera Software LLC Common Software Manager. I'm not really sure what that is or why it's needed, so I'm going to disable it. I can always re-enable it if something isn't working as expected. DeskCalc is my calculator program. Here's another example of one I don't need running at startup. If I want to use my DeskCalc program, I'll just run my DeskCalc program. Dragon Center is my MicroStar International MSI motherboard control center. That's something that has low impact, and I do want that to run. Dropbox. Dropbox is a tool that I use occasionally. It does have a high impact, but I do use it, and it's probably good to keep notifying and to keep the software running in the background so that if any changes are made to files on Dropbox, those changes will get uploaded immediately. So that's one I want to keep running. My Epson Event Manager and Monitor. Don't really need to have that stuff running. If I need to know what's going on with my printer, I can just go look at it, right? Nuance software. Don't really need the e-registration software running all the time, so I'll disable that. And I think you get the idea. You can keep on going down the list here and disabling and eliminating things that are making your system slow at startup. So as you scroll down the list, you may actually run into something yet you're really not sure about. Windows Task Manager has a great built-in feature for quickly researching things. Rather than have to open up your browser and type in Microsoft Teams, you can right-click and search online. That's going to open up your default browser. Mine happens to be Google Chrome. And then it's going to search for Microsoft Teams so that I can get information about what that is. Armed with that knowledge, I can decide if I want to let it run at startup or if I want to disable it. If we click it, we get information about what Microsoft Teams are. Now I'm familiar with it. I can go and close this back to Task Manager. It's not something that I use regularly in my organization, and if I need it, I can start it myself. So I'm going to go ahead and disable it. And you just keep scrolling on down the whole list here. I'm about halfway through, and you'll be amazed at some of the things that end up running here that you just don't even know what they are. Here's a Visual Basic script. That's very suspicious. Anytime you see a VBS type script, you should know what that is and pay attention to that to see if you really want that to run or not. I hope you enjoyed my video today and you start using these tools to keep your machine running lean and mean. Thanks for watching.